Hello and welcome. Uh, Today, basically, we are here to uh, discuss about the essay writing paper, which is part of your civil service examination preparations. You are supposed, based upon your editorial readings, you are supposed to come up with essays, and that is exactly the point of discussion today. Before I go into the details, I do hope that everyone out there who are watching this is safe and healthy in these troubled times. So let's move ahead with our discussion. So what basically we're doing it is that we are looking at the essay writing paper, which is part for competitive examinations. So before I begin, I would like to share a few introductory words with you. This is, of course, my channel, Smart Learning, and the contents of this presentation is specifically meant for the students of Ramanujan Institute, Silchar. The institute is doing commendably well in helping students prepare for civil service examination. It has had a tremendous track record, and the best thing about the institute here for us, both the parties, that is my learners, my student friends who are watching this, and me as a teacher, is that we are a very wonderful, interesting family of enthusiastic learners and very dedicated teachers. So of course this video is for anybody who is watching this, but specifically meant for Ramanujan Institute, Silchar. Why I'm saying this is because when I'm speaking, or especially in the second part of the discussion, you might find that I'm assuming certain things that I have already done, which is because of the Ramanujan connection that I have. So let's start. In the first part, we'll look at some of the tips for effective writing. Some of you with whom I have had the opportunity to interact previously might find it repetitive. For some, however, at least just before the lockdown, I saw some new faces who joined us a little late. So for them, it would be a new experience. And for the rest of you, it will come as a revision. And for my watchers, these are some of the techniques that I will give you in each of my video presentations on this paper. I will provide you with some techniques that will help you, hopefully help you to improve your writing skills. So some of the techniques that I will just touch upon today is avoid verbosity. Choose your words, choose correct words, the proper words, the right words for the right place, write naturally, and think why you are writing. This is very important, why you are writing. Now let us look at these one by one. A little bit, I'll not go into great detail, but at least a little bit. Verbosity. Verbosity means having too many words. When you need 2 words, you're using 4 words. It might seem to you that in describing a sentence using more and more words, it might just occur to you that your sentences are being very beautiful, but actually it's not always the case. As you will see in the examples below, it's not always the case. Rather, in most of the cases, it makes your sentences long, it makes your sentences complicated, it makes your writing boring. So let us look at some of the examples. Consider this sentence. Under the current circumstances, opening the shops would not be the wisest thing to do. 15 words have gone into making this sentence. Could we write the sentence in a better way? Let's see. I have done it like this. It would be unwise to open the shops now. 9 words, the sentence is over. You have said what you wanted to say. So you have saved a lot of words. You have made your sentence shorter. Now, you have learned now what is verbosity. Verbosity means, having too many words. Now, the question is now how to cut down on the words. Are there any techniques to cut the number of words you are using? Let's look at some techniques. Of course, there are techniques. I'm not going to discuss all the techniques today, but at least some techniques that are the very basic techniques. Those I'm going to just touch upon today. The first one is use one-word substitutes. That means that you'll have to learn one word substitutes. If you don't have a good stock of one word substitutes, please start learning one word substitutes. Look at this sentence. The wall was too high to jump over. 8 words have gone into making this sentence. The wall was too high to jump over. Instead of it, just say the wall was insurmountable. That's over. 4 words, and the same thing that you wanted to say, you've said. So you've cut down your words by using a one-word substitute. Too high to jump over, 1 word, insurmountable, has cut your sentence short, made it more compact, made it more crisp and beautiful. The second way of shortening your sentences is to use antonyms, opposite words. Look at this. Instead of saying this story does not seem genuine, say the story seems fake. So if you use the antonyms, if you use one-word substitutes, you will be able to significantly cut down on the length of your sentence and cut down the number of words you are using. The third technique that I would discuss with you today is avoid winding sentences. Avoid making your sentences go round and round and round. Just say what you have to say. Be clear, be direct, say what you have to say. Look at this sentence. I will show you something interesting. The first is the same sentence. I've written it in 2 different ways. The first time I've written the same thing in 1 single sentence. You will count the words, you'll see the number of words are way more. Then I've broken the sentence down into 2 sentences, and you'll see the number of words have been significantly reduced. So look at the sentence here. The strong gust of wind tore through the city, leaving 16 dead and scores of others injured, while also paralyzing electric supply. 1 sentence having 26 words. What I've done next is the same sentence, I've rewritten it like this. The gale ravaged the city, killing 16 and injuring scores more. Full stop. It also paralyzed electric supply. 16 words in the second sentences. Although I've broken the sentences down, you see I have cut down on the words. And cutting down on the words is very important. Just because you are allowed to write 1,200 words in your essay does not mean that you spill your words where you don't require them. At the end, you might just come into a situation when you might realize you have a lot to say, important points that you need to say, but you have run short of words. So it is very important for you to use your words judiciously, properly, economically. Of course, if you need words, you should use words. If you need 6 words, use 6 words. But if you can do with 6 words, don't go to use 8 words. So these are 3 techniques in which you can cut down your sentences. Next, let us go into something called the choice of words. That's very important. You see, all of us are different. All of us have got a different personality. Words, similarly, have got a personality of their own. Each word is different. Each word has got its own personality and its own nuance. You cannot substitute a word for another word. If the word is perfect, just perfect for the situation, you can't go and use another word. You need that word at that place. Also, a very important thing is that words are the reflection of who you are. It speaks about your education and also your erudition. Your level of scholarship is revealed by the words you use. There are words for the right moment. Would you go to the swimming pool dressed in, a tuxedo, coat and bow tie? Would you go swimming like that? I'm sure you would not. And would you go to a conference of your university wearing something that you would go swimming in? No. So just like that, there are occasions for your dresses, there are occasions for your words. You cannot substitute the words and use any word anywhere. So you have to be careful to use the correct word at the correct place. Look at the examples below. Right? It was an awesome picture. It was an awesome experience. Now the word awesome is okay when you use this sentence and this word when you are speaking with friends and you're speaking in an informal environment. That's perfect, no problem with that. But when you're writing for an exam or you are speaking at a more, formal occasion, you want to use more formal words. How about saying it was a memorable experience? So the second sentence, look at it. She looks cool. Again, a sentence that's very good. Informally, when you're speaking with friends in informal situation, it's cool. It's cool to use the word cool in an informal situation. But in a formal situation, you have to use words that are formal and meant for the occasion. Say she looks dainty, or she looks elegant, or she looks pretty, she looks charming, she looks well dressed, anything that you need to use at that particular moment, use those words. Here in the call out here, you can see I've written these points down here. Uh, Avoid slangs and look for the words, look beyond trend. What are slangs? Whenever we hear the word slang, we think that, oh, slang is a dirty word. No, slangs are not dirty necessarily or bad words necessarily. Slangs are basically words that are popularly used. Slangs are basically words that are, used very popularly. Everybody uses those words, and these words are used like that because these words are capable of conveying our emotions very easily. I know everybody knows those words, and you can convey your emotions very easily using these words. So, for example, cop, cab, or you have used a word out here, cool. So these are basically slangs. Slang does not necessarily have to be a bad word. Slang is just a popular word, a word used more in popular culture. However, these are not part of the mainstream language, formal language, so avoid using slangs. So while you write, please think while you're writing. A very famous writer once said, the writing doesn't take place when you hold the pen and scribble on the paper. Actual writing takes place here, the thought. So before you write, think what you want to write, why you want to write, for whom you are writing. If these points are clear to you, when you write, you'll come up with a meaningful writing. So let us now move on to some examples where the purpose defines the style of the writing. You see, and here, of course, I wish to beg your apology for the typos over here. So, you see, imagine that I'm the principal of a school. And if I were to write this sentence for my teachers, I direct all of you to attend the meeting. I direct all to attend the meeting. It would sound very bossy and very arrogant. Instead of saying this, so I realized that this sentence does not suit my purpose. So what do? I reframe this sentence for the purpose. All are directed to attend the meeting. Look at the second sentence that I have here. The data given by the Prime Minister were all wrong. You're speaking of the Prime Minister. You're speaking about a serious person, and a discussion about an important person is a serious discussion. So when you use this word, the Prime Minister gave data that were all wrong. It may be wrong. But when you are using the word about the Prime Minister, say, speaking about the Prime Minister gave you the data was all wrong. You are reducing the seriousness of the sentence of what you are going to speak. So why don't you go and rephrase your sentence? The data given by the Prime Minister were inaccurate. So the data was inaccurate. It is so delicious that no one, not only would you remember it, you would also keep wanting more. Instead of that, you are saying it's finger licking good. Now, before I move ahead, I want to make one point very clear. I'm not saying that this sentence or this sentence or this sentence is wrong. What I'm saying is that according to the need of the situation, compared to this is a better sentence. Compared to this is a better sentence. And compared to this is a better sentence. Now, what is it? In the first, I'm writing a notice for my colleagues. And I wish to sound strong, but not impolite. So I would use the passive voice. What I've done here, I've used the passive voice. When I'm speaking about an important person, my discussion is serious. To provide it the seriousness that the sentence deserves, I will use a euphemism. I've used a euphemism here. Data inaccurate. It is a euphemism. What is a euphemism? Euphemism is a figure of speech in which an unpleasant thing is presented to you in a more pleasant way, in a slightly pleasant way. I will speak about figure of speech in a later video. In the third one, what I've done is, the third one was basically an advertisement. And you might remember, this might remind you of a very popular catchline of a very popular food chain brand. So in an advertisement, you want to say that my food is so good, you will come back to eat my food. But who has got the time to read so many words in an advertisement? Advertisements, one would see while one is in a bus, in a moving bus, while one is shopping, you might just glance at this. You have got just 2 minutes to grab the attention of your looker. So you want to select a very short and crisp sentence. That's why what we have done here is that we have used a compound word and cut down the sentence so that this sentence conveys what I want to say within a very short span of words and space. So now we are ready to move to our second part, which is a discussion on some editorial, basically editorial discussion. And today for you, I have brought here, I thought of raising this very important, interesting topic, that is challenges to online education in India. It's very interesting, especially in the current times, it's very interesting. Because of the lockdown, suddenly we have driven all our students from KG to PG levels to stick in front of the computer or their mobile phones, and they are learning from their mobile phones, through their mobile phones or their laptops, something we didn't do quite often previously. But here I want to just share something. It's not that online education didn't exist in India before it, but now, given the current times, it has become very relevant. So today we are going here to discuss challenges to online education in India. So let us contextualize it a bit. Like in other parts of the world, online education was growing. Given the current lockdown, online education there is a surge in this form of education. And of course, this form of education comes with its own challenges. And to give you some more context of it in a background reading, a recent article in the Mint, the name of the article, the title of the article was, "Will Online Education Work in India?" It was an interrogative headline in which the author wondered if online education was going to work in India. It's an interrogative, he's not sure, he's asking you the question. And in presenting the arguments, he quotes someone in this article, whom I will also mention as the second source for this reading. It's Abhirup Mukhopadhyay of Indian Statistical Institute, who wrote an article in which he quoted National Sample Survey data on Survey of Education 2014, in which he identified some serious challenges that stand as stumbling blocks to India doing any good in online education. So today I will basically not expect you, please don't expect me that I will give you all the answers. What I'll do to make it a little more interesting, challenging for you, I'm going to guide you with certain points which you can browse on, read on, so that you can come up with the answer to an exercise that I shall give you at the end of this presentation. So before that, let us remember something called EdTech or EduTech. Nowadays, there is a trend of harnessing technology. And when I mean technology, I mean digital technology. There is a trend of harnessing digital technology in existing spheres of our activity. So when you use digital technology in agriculture, we call it agri-tech. When you use digital technology in healthcare system, we call it health tech. And here we have got edutech or edtech, that is in harnessing the power of the digital technology in the education sector. Just before the lockdown, we were progressing quite a lot. China was doing very great. There are several online platforms in China that are doing exceedingly well. In India, also Byju's has become a very popular name in India. And during this lockdown, this platform called the White Hat announced massive recruitment. Imagine it. These are the times when people are cutting down on jobs, and White Hat announced massive recruitment, which means that the current circumstance has brought about a surge in this online education. So now, what is the problem? Online education is growing. Everybody needs online education, and online education is being provided. All the teachers have basically turned into video editors, and everybody, nearly almost every teacher, has opened his video YouTube channel, just like me here. So, what is the problem? There is a problem. You see, there are some serious problems. One is the digital divide. What is the digital divide? Digital divide is a gap, just like the poverty line. Digital divide is a gap between those who have access to the internet and those who don't have access to the internet. The other challenge is the device. You cannot access the internet unless you have a device. So the device is another problem. Now, the selection of the device is also a problem. So the device, whether you have a laptop, you have a mobile phone or a tablet, and then for the purpose of education, whether you should select a laptop, a mobile phone, or a tablet, that is another question. Now, you have to do some research. You have to go and find out how wide is the digital divide in India. Look at both the urban and the rural figures and find out what is the digital divide in India. What is the percentage of people who have access to internet, and what is the percentage of people who don't have access to the internet? The percentage of population who have access to a device. That is a very important thing to look at. First of all, how many households have got access to a device? They have a mobile phone, a smartphone, or a laptop computer, or desktop computer, or tablet. How many households have it? And then remember, just because my house has a mobile phone does not make sure that the kind of that the learning, online learning, would be smooth for me. Suppose somebody else has a mobile phone in the house and I borrow his device for the purpose of learning. There are some challenges, there are some problems there also. We will see into it at a later stage. The third point, does the government have any scheme of distributing any devices? Today, if you're pushing the country to picking up learning through online platforms, then you have to remember, you have to make sure that your learning process is not becoming very selective. If that happens, then it will not serve the purpose. Remember, right to education is a basic right now. And now if you are prescribing a kind of learning in which a good section of the people don't have access to the way in which you are giving your learning, your purpose will be defeated. So what is the government doing? Did the government have any plan to distribute any devices? If they had any plan, what happened to that plan? So that is something that you need to read and you need to find out. Please check the description box below. I have provided the link of the article that I have mentioned, and in that article itself, you will get some hints into these points. The other points that you have to consider, apart from the technological side of it, there is the other side of the traditional side of education, the important side of education, that is, just providing education is not enough. If learning isn't taking place, teaching is fruitless. No matter how you teach, or whatever technology you bring into teaching, if learning doesn't take place in that method is wrong. So how is classroom education different from online and digital classes? Are there any specific challenges to online classes? I'll give you a hint. In a classroom, a teacher has got direct feedback from his students. I can look at the eyes of my students, I look at the body language of the students, and I can know whether my students are getting bored, whether the students are interested, whether they're enjoying, whether they're learning. I can know that. But when I am separated from them and I'm removed from them and I'm interacting with them like this in a virtual medium, I don't have the benefit of these feedbacks. So if I had the benefit, what happens when I go to a real class? When I have these feedback from my student, I'm able to tailor make myself. I'm able to improvise myself so that my students are benefited. But in a online environment, that facility is not available to me. So is learning taking a beating there? That's a point that we have to ponder. Now, what to do it? You can look up some of these articles written by education experts, and a link of one of those I'll try to provide you in the description box below, which you can see, where experts, educationists have also spoken about this problem. Then, what are the requirements for the fruitful learning? And closely related to this is this point also. Just they have a device. Is it enough? Uh, what do you think? Or what is the real fact? Is a mobile device suitable for learning, or learning requires a tablet or a computing device like a laptop? Uh, so that is a very important point to consider. Most of our online learning, remember, is now taking place in the mobile platforms. So is that a suitable platform for learning? What happens if a call comes in between? So is that creating interruptions in learning? These are also points that we need to consider. And in such an essay, we have to look at the way forward. Should we mainstreamize the online education? Should we make online education the main way of teaching and learning? There are benefits and there are flip sides also. Uh, if we mainstreamize it, one great benefit is that sitting in a remote corner of India, a student can have access to the top educationists of India or even the world. So, should we mainstreamize online education because of these benefits, or should we still keep online education as a peripheral substitutes due to its demerits? Should we think of building platforms that are suitable for Indian students? I remember when this lockdown started, and many of my teacher colleagues, teacher friends will also, remember this. A large part of the time of ours was spent in deciding what platform should we use to reach out to our students. So there is still, uh, there is still that platform for teaching has, there is, we have not yet been able to agree on that sort of a platform. Some are using platforms like Google Classroom, some are using Zoom, like the way I'm doing currently to record this video for you. So, and each of these platforms have their advantages and each of these platforms have their disadvantages. So should we tailor make some platform? And then of course there is a language barrier. Most of these platforms come in the English language and the vernacular medium students are left out. So that is also another thing that we have to consider. Should real classrooms also start focusing on preparing students for online classes? Very little is currently done in preparing our students for a situation like this. The switch from offline to online has been very abrupt. So should we start, has the time come to, before mainstreamizing our online mode of teaching, should we first prepare our students in our traditional classrooms to use technologies through which they can access learning in the online medium? Should that be done? So these are the points that you have to consider while writing your essay, especially in the last paragraphs where you would discuss about the way forward. Now, I would want you to give it a shot. I want you to try something. Based upon your understanding and your reading about the article that I've discussed with you, why don't you try to write an essay on this topic, online learning in India, genesis, growth, and future, challenges and scope. Now, I know this is a very long title for you, but if you manage to write this, if you research on this and manage to write this, then what will happen is that on this topic, your preparation is done. So in the civil services, if you get, and there is a chance that you get this, if you get this, you are fully equipped and fully prepared to write an essay. Please try to write this essay, come up with this essay, and you can share it with me. You can either leave a link of your Google Drive on the comment boxes, or you can also reach out to me via my email address, which is provided to you in the description box below. And you can reach out to me and to show me once you write your article. I would love to see the essay that you have written. I'd love to read your essay. So please share it with me. And thank you very much for watching this video through, and I hope that it has been of some help to you. So until further opportunity when I get to meet you, it's goodbye from me. Thank you very much.